Shabbat shalom to everybody. According to Jewish tradition, this is called Shabbat Shuvah, the Sabbath of turning. It is the Sabbath that comes between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And according to tradition, the rabbi of a congregation is supposed to get up and speak for hours. I want you to hear this. This is true. I'm not making any of this up. Supposed to speak for hours about repentance. I have a really long sermon here, but I'm about to rip it up. Okay, you're okay. And I'm going to give it to you just to prove that I'm going to put it over here so people can just grab that, because I actually ripped it up. It isn't a game. It isn't a game show. Okay? So instead of those things, I want to talk about three things that really strike me as I'm looking out over our congregation tonight, and the sun is going down, it's getting cooler, and it's a kind of nice place to be. First of all, welcome New Reformed Temple. We haven't been together as a congregation since March 13th. We haven't been together for almost 7 months. Now, I've seen a lot of you on Zoom, and I've seen a few of you on distant, but the fact of the matter is, we haven't been in this kind of proximity with each other for 7 months. And here are two things I think about that. Number one, I'm glad we haven't, because we are trying to protect each other from some horrible disease that is afflicting our world, and America is suffering from it tremendously. 200 of our fellow citizens have died. So I am delighted that we haven't seen each other. The flip side of that is, even when we don't see each other, we're still a religious community. And I have to tell you that looking at, in numbers I'm not a numbers person. Becky and Nathan know this. We love doing what we do. If there's 12 people there, if there's 100 people there, we don't do it for numbers. Because if and I don't like when we said, oh, it was a success because we got 200 people as opposed to 50 people. I never look at it, because I think every one of us is an individual, and what each individual gets out of an experience, it's all that's important to me. And I think that has to be the definition of what we think success is, when each individual gets something out of the experience. But having said that, when you look on Rosh Hashanah and look at the number of people who came to us on Erev Rosh Hashanah, we had almost 1,000 people who looked at us on our website. Now, I don't know how many people stayed there for how long they did. We can analyze that. But we almost had 1,000 people who somehow tuned in to our website to check us out. That's extraordinary. But what's most important is most of you, all of you, were there, and somehow we're able to create a community. Even though we're not in it, we're not all together physically, but that shows the power of our community. Because our community, it's not just the building that we have, it's not just the rabbi or Becky and Nathan, it's all of you who feel a connection to each other, and there's nothing more beautiful than that. Because one of the things that we know as Jews is that God's presence comes together when 10 Jews are in one place. We got a lot more than 10 people in place tonight, and that's what makes us a community. If we're in one place or in many places, it really doesn't matter. We're still a community, and I'm just proud to be part of it, and I hope you're proud to be part of it. And if you're proud to be part of it, give us a beep. Okay, that's number one. Number two is something a little different, and it kind of relates to this theme of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. You know, in the Yom Kippur service, there is a section, and if you participate in it, and even in the family service, we have a little bit of it, there is something called the Al Chet. And the Al Chait is a confessional prayer where there's a list of the sins that different people can do. And one of the interesting things part about Yom Kippur is we never say I, we always talk about we. So even if I haven't done that particular bad thing this year, when you say the Al Chait, we all say it together because we recognize that we want to support each other. And you have a list, there's maybe 35, 40 different examples of things that you could do this year that are considered to be sins. The one that really strikes me looking at it, and I was going over the service the other day in preparation for Yom Kippur, what's striking me tonight is the sin of selfishness. And I got to talk to you a little bit about selfishness. Now, from the time you're a little kid, people will say, well, you're being selfish. You have a child, and I was always told, you're not sharing, Alan, you're selfish. And they're right, and you should share the things that you have, and it's something good to tell our children. But there's adult selfishness. There's a selfishness that happens when we think that we are more important than another person, or that our needs are more important than the collective. And it seems to me that as our society confronts this horrific COVID-19 virus, that sin of selfishness is the great reality. One of the things that we decided tonight, and I've been very strict about it, is we came together here with a determination that, and I know this is uncomfortable and you're in a car and whatever, we came together with the understanding that we would be together, we'd follow certain protocols for the collective safety of everyone. It didn't matter, maybe one person, it doesn't matter what an individual person wants, it matters what's good for the collective. And it seems to me that as we as a society confront this horrific COVID-19 virus, this sin of selfishness is at the center of it. When someone says to me, well, I can't wear a mask because it's taken away my individual rights, or it doesn't matter, I don't want to be 6 feet away from you, or, well, I was tested this afternoon, I don't have to worry about it. When people say that, they're showing a kind of sinfulness, let's call it what it is, a selfish sinfulness that has led to 200,000 Americans dead and over 1 million people worldwide who are dead from this terrible virus because people think that their own individual needs are more important than the collective. That's the sin of our time. Being selfish, thinking what's good for me is more important, that's good for everyone. And one of the things that makes Judaism different than, say, even American civilization is American civilization, which I love. I love being an American. I'm proud of my citizenship more than anything in the world. But one of the things that our citizens, America says is you want to follow your individual rights. I want to do what I want to do, which is great. But Judaism says something that I think is wiser, especially in this time. It is, when it comes to the needs of society, your needs are less important than the greater need. In other words, yeah, it's important that I get fed tonight. It's important that there aren't people in this world who are hungry. It's also important that you care about them. It's everything that we need to confront in our society today, I think really comes down to, are we going to look out for ourselves or are we going to look out for the community? And I think as we enter Yom Kippur and Kol Nidre night on Sunday night and then Yom Kippur day, I think as we think about all of the things that we have to reflect upon in our lives, I know what I'm going into Yom Kippur thinking about. I'm going to think about selfishness, my own selfishness, the times when I think too much about myself and not about others. and when we as a society do that as well. We need to deal with that issue because people's lives are at stake. Shabbat Shalom.